This is the first live session dedicated to gender. So first of all, I will very briefly just introduce myself so you have an idea of who I am and what I do, and just share the objectives of this 30-minute session. So my name is Johana Simao, and I am the gender expert for PARM, the Platform for Agricultural Risk Management. And I've previously worked for other UN agencies on the gender, agriculture, food security, climate nexus, also on other topics such as sexual health and rights. So always integrating gender as a cross-cutting issue. And so for today's session, so we will speak about agricultural risk management and its interlinkages with gender and how to integrate gender in this field of agricultural risk management. I will perhaps say IRM. That's perhaps ARM. That's perhaps better. And so this live session is hosted by the PharmD community of practice that you are part of, and this is a space for practitioners to exchange knowledge, ideas, information, and learn on best practices in agricultural risk management at the global scale. So everyone's absolutely welcome to this space. This is a space for you to discuss, perhaps more informally. We're not here to be in a formal format of presentation, but really to share what's in our minds, what's in our ongoing work, very freely. And today's live is about specifically gender mainstreaming in ARM, because we had the day of the celebrating the elimination of all forms of violence against women last Saturday on the 25th of November, and now we're in the midst of the 16 days of activism to end with gender-based violence and violence against women. So this is why it aligns with both the day and the 16 days of activism. But we fight for gender equality every day. This is 365 days per year. We just want to have a special momentum now, but we are every day very dedicated to promote gender equality. And so, as I said, this is a very interactive discussion about gender. You don't need to have a specific level on gender. Even better if it's quite new to you. You are more than welcome to share questions and also insights on your ongoing work, because the aim of this session is really like exchange, to really share our experience, our views, to open debates as well. And I can see that there's one message in the chat. I wanted also to add that I'm speaking in English now, but if needed, I can switch to French, because je parle aussi français. Donc, il est tout à fait possible d'avoir cette session en français. Et d'ailleurs, vu que je vois donc Égide, pourriez-vous indiquer, can you please indicate what is your preferred language, if it's French or English? Préférez-vous le français ou l'anglais? Je peux adapter. Vous pouvez écrire dans le chat. You can write in the chat what is your preferred language.
Maybe we can keep it in English for now, and Egid, feel free to tell us if you prefer to follow the live in French, so we can switch. Thank you very much, Johana.
Thanks, Anaïs. So yeah, I'll continue in English, but of course, please indicate in the chat if you'd like to switch to French. That's really open. And so also I wanted to indicate that this live session will be recorded and shared with the community of practice in the coming days. So you'll be able to listen to it again and share it, of course, with other practitioners that you think may be interested in listening to the content we'll share today. And so, as I said, this is a really like free and open space. Please do feel free to write in the chat anything you'd like to share any link on your work, ask any question. And there is no silly question. Please feel really comfortable about them. So I will just perhaps give 1 minute to see if there's any question coming up to open this, or perhaps I'll if there's no question, I will just give a very brief overview of what we are doing at PARM and IFAD. And Egid, since you are our star participant today, this session is dedicated to you, actually. So you're more than welcome to respond, to interact, to ask anything that you'd like us to discuss. If you have one specific question, or if there's something in your work that you want to share, this is the appropriate space.
Johana, I've noticed that Egid always posts on the COP and always in French. So maybe we can switch to French so that Egid, if can be more comfortable and share with us some of his questions.
Très bien. Bah, du coup, Monsieur Egid, vu que vous êtes notre participant star du jour, parce que toutes les autres participantes nous faisons partie de PARM, donc nous avons une idée déjà du travail en cours sur le genre. Vous êtes plus que bienvenue de poser toutes questions qui vous viennent à l'esprit par rapport au genre et à la gestion des risques agricoles, ou partager une expérience dans votre travail, partager un lien aussi vers une page qui vous semble pertinente par rapport au sujet du jour. Donc profitez de cet espace qui vous est presque quasi exclusivement dédié. Ok, bah, peut-être pour commencer, vu qu'il n'y a pas de questions ou de partage qui vient pour l'instant, peut-être que je peux parler très rapidement. Je ne vais pas faire une présentation sur le PARM et le genre, parce que c'est pas vraiment le sujet. Le sujet, ce sont vos questions et vos partages. Mais donc, voilà, très rapidement, vous donner quelques informations. Donc, le PARM, donc plateforme pour la gestion des risques agricoles. Je dois tout traduire en français alors que j'ai l'habitude de dire en anglais. Donc intègre le genre depuis sa création et a une stratégie genre qui a été élaborée en 2019 et qui évolue au fur et à mesure, que peut-être on peut partager dans le chat. Je sais pas si Anaïs tu souhaites la partager, ou sinon je peux. Ouais, super. Donc l'idée, c'est ça part déjà d'un constat. Quel est ce constat? C'est que déjà, quand on travaille avec des personnes, quel que soit le projet, mais notamment des projets dans le secteur agricole et qui parlent de gestion des risques, si on travaille avec des personnes, on travaille avec leur genre nécessairement, parce que toutes les personnes n'ont pas la même position, les mêmes rôles sociaux, les mêmes accès. Les mêmes perceptions, les mêmes vécus dans un contexte donné, une société, une communauté donnée du fait de leur genre. Et un des grands piliers, en fait, notamment dans le secteur agricole et lié à la gestion des risques, c'est que les femmes et les hommes n'ont pas les mêmes accès aux ressources de tout type, que ce soit les ressources productives, d'un point de vue plus matériel, les intrants, etc., les terres, n'ont pas les mêmes accès aux ressources naturelles aussi, donc les ressources naturelles telles que l'énergie, toutes les sources d'énergie, n'ont pas les mêmes accès aux informations non plus, n'ont pas les mêmes accès aux finances, à tous les moyens de financement, et souvent leur travail, bien qu'elles contribuent fortement majoritairement à l'agriculture, qu'elles soient des participantes extrêmement actives, elles sont beaucoup moins, voire pas rémunérées parfois pour leur travail, et leur rôle est invisibilisé. Et donc en fait, il y a besoin de stimuler des politiques agricoles et des programmes qui leur permettent un meilleur accès aux ressources, une meilleure visibilité, d'améliorer leurs conditions de vie. Mais pour ça, en fait, pour des prises de politique et de programmes, il y a besoin de decision making, que les prises de décision soient également inclusives. Or, dans les prises de décision politiques au niveau des autorités aussi plus communautaires, les femmes sont souvent bien moins présentes que les hommes. Et ça, forcément, ça impacte. Si les femmes ne sont pas présentes dans les processus de prise de décision, forcément, les décisions ne vont pas non plus refléter leurs besoins et leurs besoins spécifiques. et leurs revendications spécifiques. C'est pour ça qu'elles se retrouvent très souvent marginalisées et beaucoup plus impactées par les risques, car qui dit peu d'accès aux ressources et peu d'accès aux espaces de prise de décision dit plus d'impact face aux risques de tout type, les risques climatiques en cas de désastres climatiques, en cas aussi de contexte fragile de paix et de sécurité, vu qu'elles ont moins de moyens, de ressources propres, moins de moyens de recours, du fait du rôle qui leur est assigné dans la société, elles vont être beaucoup plus impactées par ces risques-là, notamment les risques climatiques. Et donc, je vois une question. I want to know tools used by PARM as measures about this. Bah, déjà, je vous invite à regarder la stratégie genre de la PARM, parce que c'est la plateforme de la PARM, parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'informations et de suggestions d'outils, justement, par rapport à ça. Donc je pense que ça vous permettra de rentrer peut-être plus en détail par rapport à votre question. C'est une ressource assez riche. On a aussi cette année publié un article sur les récentes leçons apprises de l'intégration du genre dans la PARM. Donc peut-être Anaïs, si tu as l'opportunité de le partager dans le chat, c'est bien, merci. Et donc l'un de nos principaux outils, donc on va en évoluant et justement interagir avec vous, c'est utile pour ça, mais c'est notamment le renforcement des capacités, donc de deux manières. Il y a à la fois sensibiliser et outiller sur l'intégration du genre dans la gestion des risques agricoles, donc auprès des structures, notamment, enfin voilà, les gouvernements et les structures politiques à toutes échelles qui ont ce rôle-là, les sensibiliser au genre, à la pertinence de l'intégration du genre dans la gestion des risques agricoles, pour qu'elles puissent intégrer en fait très clairement le genre et des mesures très concrètes de voilà, améliorer l'accès aux ressources, améliorer la prise de décision, prendre en compte le travail non rémunéré des femmes, etc. Et d'un autre côté, il y a aussi travailler main dans la main et venir renforcer les capacités des femmes, donc que ce soit au niveau des ménages, household, ménages, mais aussi au niveau des groupements de femmes. Et donc dans nos sessions de renforcement des capacités sur la gestion des risques agricoles et donc de ces liens avec le genre, nous avons toujours des femmes et des groupements de femmes qui participent pour aussi leur assurer plus d'accès à l'information, voilà, comme un stratégie d'empouvoirment, empowerment, et aussi plus de visibilité dans ce champ-là. Et donc, je vois dans le chat, are there specific cultural or societal factors that impact gender inclusion in the agricultural initiatives? Okay, but perhaps I will switch to English because I can see that there's a request to switch to English. So I don't think we have a tool yet, but this is to be confirmed soon, I hope. But we don't have a tool to translate live, to have live interpretation on this platform, on this community of practice. But I hope this is something we will have access to very soon. So I'll reply to this question about cultural societal factors in English. I think that can be summarized in one word, actually, that has a lot of consequences. That is patriarchy, society's context in which patriarchy is predominant, and so I would say considering the women's work as a contribution and not as a core work that needs to be paid, and which would give more economic empowerment to women, more resources, more coping strategies when they face risks. Also restricting women, and I'm saying it in a general manner. Of course, this is not exactly this in all contexts and communities, societies. but this is just a very broad idea that we can find in many contexts at the global scale. But restricting women more to the domestic sphere rather than to the public sphere that is more perceived as a male space. And so one of the consequences of that is that decision makers are mostly men. And what I said in French, but I will repeat it in English. If the public space is more perceived as male, decisions will be made by male and for men as well, because they will take into account their own needs, their own perceptions, their own roles. And if women are not present, women and youth are not present in these spaces of decision making, of course their roles and needs and specific requests will not be taken into account. And another factor, it's social cultural, yes, but it's also like a topic per se, is gender-based violence. Because of gender-based discrimination, intimate partner violence is very prevalent, and so there is the scale of the household scale, but also gender-based violence outside the household. And because of climate change and increasing climate related disasters, women who are which role in many societies and many contexts is to provide the household with resources, with energy, fuel, wood, water. They have to travel longer distances because of resources scarcity. They travel longer distances to purchase, to find the resources for the household. And on these roads, they're much more exposed to gender-based violence. That would say that this is a specific risk that women face because of climate change. They are more exposed to the risk of gender-based violence. And regarding this, we had a fantastic session I think it was two weeks ago on how climate risk insurance need to integrate to address gender-based violence because of the interlinkages between gender-based violence and climate change and climate-related disasters. And I invite you to listen to the recording because it was a very rich session in which many insights, experience, and solutions were shared. Because this is also responsibility in the field of insurance to sensitize and to decrease gender-based violence, because there is more gender-based violence because of climate change. This might not sound intertwined very obviously, but this is this is a linkage that we need to take into account in our policies and in our initiatives. And yeah, thank you for sharing the recording, Anais. So I really encourage you to listen to this session to have a better idea of the linkages and also on what is done by different stakeholders in this field. And so and yeah, but I'm speaking a lot, but I would like you to share something in your practice. So what are your so as Anna said, I will say that in case you don't see the chat, but so our dear participants, Abdella, Arthur, and Egid, in your work, in your experience, are there specific mechanisms that are already in place to ensure women's participations at all levels of your activities in the agricultural field? If so, please feel free to share in the chat, because this is a space for exchange, not of presentation. I'm of course very happy to share my ideas and experience and what we do at PARM, but the aim is really to exchange and perhaps leave this live with more ideas, more insights than before this live. So please feel free to share anything.
Johana? Yeah, Thank you very much also, Abdella, for joining us. I was just wondering if you, in your idea, what would it be the next steps for example, at government level or even at farm levels, what are the next key actions, in your opinion, that should be taken to scale up gender integration into the agricultural sector and agricultural risk management? And in the meantime, of course, Abdella, Ejid, and Arthur, please feel free to share your opinion as well.
So I think I'll need 3 hours to answer, but I will try just to give very brief highlights on that. So I think we have to start from the beginning, from the basis. Why are there gender discriminations, like, in the world, specifically then in the agriculture field, but specifically just in general? First, it's because of power structures at all levels. So I think we need to sensitize, to discuss gender norms and gender roles at both the household level, but also at the public, at the political level. So changing gender perceptions, roles, and interactions, so that women and men are considered on an equal footing. I think this is first, but this is a very long-term work. So in the meantime, since of course gender norms are the most difficult to change, and we need a lot of patience and a lot of dialogue to change this, we need to include more women and youth and marginalized populations in the political spheres, in the decision-making processes, because if we don't have certain people represented in decision-making spaces, no decision will be made for them. This is just a very basic in the term of fundamental idea. So I think we need even like to have quotes in political spaces that design policies for agriculture and specifically for agricultural risk management. So more women, youth, and marginalized populations. And for this, we need to engage more with women's groups and groups of all types. Can be organizations of female smallholder farmers, and there are many, and they're very active. So integrate them more in all decision-making processes. Also, women's unions. Women's unions, working with them. Oh, sorry, I have another meeting starting soon that is already. No, I cannot join. Sorry for this. Working with women unions as well for them to reclaim their rights. So yeah, I think this is kind of the two main aspects for a fundamental change. And just since I have 5 minutes, I will see what is the comment or question that we had. Participatory engagement of women in agriculture practice is very important because women are hard workers and majority of agriculture work is contributed by them. Yes, exactly. So since they're incredibly active and they provide most of the work, sometimes like more than half of the work in certain contexts, they need to be engaged in these decision-making processes in a participatory manner, of course, and to have a real role, because sometimes we can just consult women's groups, but then will they be actually included in the decision-making process? Not really, and it's not just discussing with women or women's groups for just to check the box on the checklist. So yeah, we worked with women's groups, but really integrate them so they make the decisions actually, and are not just invited to one meeting and then we never hear about them anymore. And women's smallholder farmers are gathered in groups, in organizations, associations, and unions in all the countries we're working in. So I really encourage us all to work more with them understand their needs and specific requests. So they're addressed by policies. And also something else that comes to my mind, since I don't see another question, I share what comes to my mind. Many times we may want to engage with and that's very good news, with women's groups, organizations, and offer them capacity building sessions, etc. But sometimes it can overlap with their own domestic cores, because in many contexts, so women are restricted to the domestic sphere, and in addition to their agricultural work, they have also all the domestic care work burden that prevent them from dedicating more time to themselves, to training, to income generating activities. And so I think we also need to bear this in mind, this burden of unpaid care work that women have, and that can prevent them from participating more in the work directly with us, but also in the public political spheres. And this echoes with the first point I had shared, that is working on power structures and really like gender norms. Why are women, why do they bear the burden of unpaid care work and are not free to dedicate their time to something else and be more present in the spaces that will improve their well-being and their participation in agricultural risk management? This is part of the work of sensitization and of changing norms and perceptions, changing the responsibility of unpaid care work. So what specific cultural societal factors could impact gender inclusion in the agricultural initiatives? I feel this is a question that we already discussed. Let me see, are there that impact? But I think I partly gave the answer, but of course we can discuss more after this live session if necessary. I'm happy to do so. But to me, this burden of unpaid care work that I've just quickly mentioned is key, because if there's less women's time poverty, and if women's time can be more dedicated to training, to education, to income generating activities, to many things we can do in life that they don't have access to information, and to other resources. I think this shift of the responsibility of this burden can really lead to an improvement. But I said that it's 2:30, and perhaps if there's one very quick idea that someone wants to share, a link to your work, please, this is the space to also put your work under the spotlight. So anything you want to highlight in your initiatives, please do so.
Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, we just reached our time for this first live session called Ask Me a Question. Thank you very much to Abdella, Arthur, and Egid for joining us. And of course, thank you very, very much, Johana Simao, for joining us to bring so many insightful information about gender in agricultural risk management. And yeah, as you said, Johana, you, the participants, don't forget that PARM Community of Practice really aims to become a space where we all learn from each other. So please just exchange, share your thoughts on the PARM Community of Practice. You can share any news, any blog, any of your activities on the feed, so that other COP members can learn from your work and you can hopefully learn from them. And I also wanted to remind you that 1 week ago, we've launched the Top Member Challenge. And so to participate, you must share your knowledge, as I said, by posting a discussion topic on agricultural risk management, or agribusiness or agrotechnology, anything related. You also have to participate in the discussions, of course, by liking, commenting, any post that you think is really relevant and interesting to you. And of course, as I said again, promote your activities by sharing just updates and something you read that you think is interesting. And you have until the 6th of December to participate. So we really highly encourage your participation until then. And just to conclude, I wanted to tell you that tomorrow we will have another webinar broadcasted inside the community of practice at 3 p.m. CET, which will be on promoting biodiversity through value chains and innovative finance. So make sure to join us at 3 p.m. so to learn more about the challenges and needs for financing biodiverse farms and good production practices to strengthen rural farmers' resilience. And I just saw your message, Abdella. So the link of the discussion, if you mean the link of the discussion tomorrow, I will post it again. I will send it to you privately if you want. And if you, okay, I just saw that you responded to me, so perfect. With that, I wish you all a very nice rest of the day. And again, thank you, Johana, and thank you for our 3 great participants today, Abdella, Arthur, and Egid. And see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and see you very soon on another live on gender. You have more opportunities to share. So thank you for today, and I wish you a very happy week. Bye.